Thank you, Gertrude. No doubt we will have other exciting days of weather chaos and extremes ahead of us, but none likely will come close to our experiences of today. Our gratitude to you for keeping on top of every moment and helping us to know exactly how things were developing.
And part of what Gertrude was able to do is draw on weather experts from around the world to help give us perspective on Zulu 11's development. One of those experts, Dr. Alex Plesikov, was brought into the system by WRAT's reporter Katerina Korkaya. We have Katerina on the line once again to say a few words. The Shelburne Island view on how Zulu 11 has affected them over the past hours.
Thank you, Lana. I know that WRAT listeners first knew of the threat Zulu 11 posed when the weather observation tower here was destroyed by the massive water impact it sustained, and I was swept away into the ocean along with everyone else in the tower. I'm alive only because Shelburne Island has one of the most effective emergency preparedness teams in the Atlantic, and because my own training kept me from panic. There are no words to describe my gratitude to all those here for both rescuing and caring for me. But as part payment, I would like to report on how utterly amazed I am at the facilities that have been implemented here. I have never encountered a more self-sufficient, fully independent survival environment. In spite of the severity of Zulu 11's wrath, this resort complex has had absolutely no internal issues. No power problems, no leaking or seepage, in spite of being built over 20 meters below the surface of the island. The damage to the observation tower was anticipated by its internal sensors, and all access hatches to the main weather station complex completely sealed automatically before the structure succumbed. The only reason the tower was destroyed is that the sheer force of Zulu 11's impact was so far beyond anything that could have been anticipated. And remember that here the storm reached its full force first and raged fiercest. At its peak, we detected waves in excess of 60 meters covering the island. All surface features are expected to have been washed away.
It sounds like the world would do well to consider Shelburne Island as a model for weather preparedness. I believe many of the supposed weather bunkers on the mainland have not fared nearly as well.
Although we can hope never again to see such raw force and power, we must truly make every effort to prepare in case of catastrophe. Many more lives would have been saved if the Shelburne Island lesson had been learned elsewhere.
We all thank you for your message, Katerina, and hope our public protection staff are listening. Take some time at Shelburne Island to recover from your ordeal, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in Suiston when you're ready.
I will let you know how Shelburne's hospitality compares to their facility design, Lana. Shelburne out.
And as Lana mentioned, not all the identified weather bunkers held up nearly so well as Shelburne Island. In Jarlsberg, our reporter Miguel Sanchez has experienced firsthand the woes of inadequate preparation in such a bunker. Miguel, we're glad to hear back from you again.
Adam, it has been a very frantic time here since the water breached an emergency access hatch into the bunker a little over half an hour ago. We suspect the entire bunker has been effectively submerged for a couple of hours, and as soon as the hatch gave way, a torrent began to flow into the structure itself. This bunker has a large internal volume, but it was soon clear that we needed to take action, or it would very rapidly fill with water.
I thought the bunker at Jarlsberg had originally been a fallout shelter. Doesn't it have a full system of air and water sealed doors and hatches, so all areas can be isolated from each other?
So it was designed, Adam. In their wisdom, the people of Jarlsberg have over the years sought to simplify the design to allow ease of access from one area of the bunker to another, and most of the hatches have either been removed or the seals have been allowed to deteriorate. In the end, we had to allow a full third of the facility to flood and fall back behind the seals that were still functional. Now we have literally standing room only and no access to living quarters whatsoever. Our power systems are failing due to lack of maintenance of the external collection units. If this storm had not abated, I'd say we'd have lasted perhaps a day, probably less, because as soon as the power stopped functioning and all went dark, I'm sure people would have lost it. As it is, well, some of the emergency services staff have already gone out the main exit to find out if we are truly trapped in a water-filled tomb. We should get word back on our status anytime.
It still sounds pretty bleak, Miguel. I hope there are not many facilities so poorly managed and maintained, or there are sure to be others across the country and around the world in similar circumstance.
We found it. Hurry up.
Looks like our explorers have returned, Adam. And it sounds as though they found a way for us to escape.
The evacuation of the bunker will begin in 15 minutes. I repeat, 15 minutes. Strongest swimmers first. But we expect to have redirected most of the water within half an hour. So by then, we'll be taking people in an orderly manner. Everyone get ready.
I'm going to volunteer in the first group, Adam. Been swimming since I was an infant. I'll let you know how it goes. Wish me luck. We all wish you luck, Miguel. And back here in Sewerston, we've been really concerned about Daniella Gresham in her fight to keep the Sewerston South Supermall from being destroyed around her. For Daniella, the abating storm may not help her situation. When we last spoke to her, she and SSF sniper Emily McAllister were preparing an assault on the fleeing apostles. Daniella, tell us your status.
Helen, we've extracted what we need to know from the nearest lookalike. And the trail is the casino in the southwest corner of the mall. The bomb we need to defuse is on the roof somewhere. Neither of us is any good at cracking security access systems. And since the building's sealed up due to the emergency, we're getting there the only way we can. Climbing the outside of the building.
And that means, I'm sure, without ropes or any kind of protection.
4 stories. Great climbing surface. And we're both good at this. We're almost up. Give us a few more moments.
Don't talk, Daniella. I know you need your strength and focus to get this done. But if you survive this ordeal, I'm sure both you and Emily will be receiving commendations from both the city administration and from the SSO. You've already done truly remarkable things out there today.
That's very encouraging, Helen. If is the operative word. I recognize the location of our lead apostle's information, as you described it, as soon as I cleared the roof edge. Now we just need to get past the security door somehow. And
Daniella! Daniella, are you still there?
it looks like Emily wasn't prepared to get stopped by a door. And she had more than just hollow point rounds in her rifle. She just took out part of the wall leading into the facilities tower, where we believe the bombs to be. Shortcut past the door. Okay, we're inside. Emily, over there. It's just as I pictured it from the image. Thank God for your imagination, Daniella. You translate this much faster than I do. Alright, now it's down to me. I'm hoping we have enough time. We need to focus, Helen. If I'm still here, I'll get back to you.
Ladies, you're in our thoughts. Get it done. We want to see you back.
And continuing with dramatic teams, we now have a quick update from our infiltration team and Kelso and Rick Allen, still on site at the Off-World Tower. Anne, how goes the fight?
We're holding out nicely now, Adam. Rick has this X-control center sealed up tighter than a drum, and I'm on security duty, making sure these apostles we had to neutralize in here don't have another chance at glory. Trussed up like chickens and gagged so we don't have to listen to them. All still unconscious at the moment anyway.
Well, Anne, now that the intensity of Zulu 11's dropping, we'll be able to get someone over there pretty quickly to secure the facility, give you and Rick some relief. After the incredible work you've both done, I know you'll be top priority.
No hurry, Adam. Both of us a little worse for wear, but we're pretty comfortable now, and hey, it looks like Rick dug up some other treasures.
Nice stash of supplies in case of a long layover. We'll be well fed, if nothing else, when the backup crew arrives. And then Hammerjet 1 will be heading back to base for a little R&R. Beaten up about as badly as the two of us.
Well, hang tight, you two. Stay alert and make sure that facility stays in your hands. The major crisis is over, but we can't afford any setbacks.
You got it, Adam. See you and the team when Hoverjet 1 docks later this evening.
Looking forward to seeing you both. You'll recall that Gregory Estefan was fighting desperately to keep himself and a number of other survivors alive in a rapidly deteriorating department store, and that Street Gang had taken it into their heads to attack what was left of their refuge. Gregory is on the line with us.
Lana, I'm grateful for the help WRAT arranged for us. If it hadn't been for the hover of WRAT security that arrived 10 minutes ago, I doubt you'd be talking to any of us here.
I'm so glad to hear you're okay, Gregory, but I don't think any of us sent out a rescue team. We haven't had the time.
Remember the family Rick Allen rescued on the street? Danica and her husband? They wanted to pay Rick back for his help, so he assigned them this rescue mission. Danica knew this part of the city, so they organized 3 WRT security from the garage and led them out here. The gang on the ground floor fled when they heard the siren and saw them pull up. And with the storm abating, we're not too worried about possible roof collapse. Now we can get down to helping the injured, and wait like everyone else for proper medical attention. Danica, on behalf of all of us survivors, thanks for doing your part in saving lives through this crisis. You're an honorary WRAT field reporter, and you can sign off for us.
Thanks, Greg. But it's like Rick Allen told us when he rescued us from the street. We need to help each other in times like this. It's the only way we can really come through a crisis and grow in the process. Thanks to everyone at WRAT for the safety of my family. And of course to Rick Allen most of all. Lana, back to you. I'm sure Rick Allen deserves thanks from all of us, considering all he's done today. Without his help, I don't think Anne could have defused the Zulu 11 threat. So from all of us, Rick, thank you once again. There's sure to be much public recognition for both you and Anne in the days to come.
In reaching out to Jeremy Alcott at the Oasis Biodome, we discovered that he had some fascinating news. There were, as expected, no newcomers to the nature reserve until just a few moments ago, and, well, Jeremy, perhaps you can tell us about it.
Right you are, Adam. As I said, we'd been watching the doors for any new arrivals, and just about 10 minutes ago the man on duty, Eddie, I think his name was, got the fright of his life. He was peering out through the transparent dome wall at the door, and suddenly there's a face pressed desperately against the door, wild eyes looking straight into his. He let out this terrified shriek, then fainted. I ran over and cycled the access hatch, and in staggered this wreck of a man. Clothing torn to shreds, bleeding from 100 scratches and gashes, eyes wide with crazed fear. And on his back, his arms, his cheeks, mushroom cloud tattoos.
Out of the fire of his own devising into the frying pan. I can't imagine anyone being less welcome at the Biodome, considering the current situation. What happened to him, Jeremy? Where is he now?
In isolation, under observation, after we made sure none of his wounds were life-threatening. But the strange thing is, he professes no involvement in the Zulu 11 events. I mean, his story's more than a little jumbled, but he seems to have quit the Apostles once he knew what was really happening.
And are people ready to believe him? You've got him in isolation, meaning he's under guard, I assume.
Absolutely, Adam. Not a soul here trusts him or anything he says. In fact, his arrival has galvanized this place like nothing else could have. Everyone's forgotten about their own struggles or disagreements, all united in blaming this apostle for what they went through. Even the holdout faction has been reintegrated. I've never seen anything like it, but you know what they say. There's nothing that can bring people together so effectively than a common enemy.
Well, now that the immediate crisis is over, I hope reason and rationality prevail, Jeremy. I'm sure there are those who'd lynch that apostle given the chance. We'll leave it up to you and the incredible beauty and peace of your surroundings to ensure he gets to plead his case fairly through the Justice Mind Probe system.
I think there are enough level heads here to prevail, Adam. He'll get his moment on the probe. In the meantime, like all of us, I think he's grateful to be alive.
Thanks for that, Jeremy. I'd still rather be at the Biodome than almost anywhere else in Sewerston today. On that note, I believe Oliver has updates for us from our sports reporters as to how Suriston's sports venues are faring now that the storm has begun to abate. Oliver?
Yes, Helen. We have all been pulled in so many directions over the past hours, with dramatic circumstances all around. At the Suriston Maulers' home stadium, Clarice Porter has witnessed some incredible examples of human struggle and survival, and played a very important role in leading both fans and team members through this crisis. Clarice, can you tell us how Causeway Stadium is holding up now that the winds are finally dropping?
Oliver, we're still alive, and that's what counts. I don't know how many people we lost when the lower levels of the stadium were submerged. It happened so quickly. But our chief peril on the upper levels was the wind, since there are so many openings out onto the stadium seating areas, and we couldn't close all of them off. The wind's been tearing away anything not truly solid, so much of the seating and all of the sun canopy are gone. It's the poured concrete that supports all that that's protected us through the worst of it. Torrential rain still pouring in through all those passageways leading to the stands. But with the wind slowly dying down, we're not so worried about getting sucked out a tunnel, and the water's been draining very effectively to the lower levels. We're just hoping the tidal waters will begin receding sooner rather than later. Last time I checked, we have water up to the middle of the second tier. That's only about 2 meters below where I'm standing, and there's nowhere else to climb to.
Clarice, you have done a remarkable job of helping people survive. Whatever the remains of Zoo 11 throws at you, I am confident you and your team will find a way to cope. And I look forward to congratulating you all myself very soon.
Nice to have someone confident in my abilities, Oliver. You may be right that the worst is now over, but for us, the crisis is not.
Clarice, we need you at the J-gate. The entire town's collapsed. Crush 6 people. The wind's pulling people out.
Oliver, I think you get the picture. I also hope to see you soon. Causeway out.
Clarice Porter has truly earned her place amongst the sports stars of Suriston for her heroic actions today. Clarice, I can only send you my best wishes and send help as soon as it can be mobilized. For now, just continue to do what you do, and know we're with you in every way but physical presence. Our last report from the underworld heap was not quite as dire as that at Causeway. We have John Horton on the line again to give us an update. John?
Well, Oliver, word has reached the fans here that the storm has begun to fade, and that news seems to have diffused the ongoing threat of violence. The militia did its work, set an example as to how supporters of both teams could work together, and now that the pressure's off, so to speak, and people can start thinking hopefully about going home and seeing the sun tomorrow, there's a generally buoyant mood here. I certainly feel for Clarice and what she's having to face. But I'm also glad that our tail thrashers, Banshee in particular, were able to take such commanding control of the situation here. Protected structure or not, we could have ended up with an all-out riot. Panicked people lose all form of rationality. It's discipline and leadership that reined in the threat.
And the same factors managed to keep things together in the Causeway crisis too, John. Different parameters, same solution elements.
True enough, Oliver. Nobody can predict how any crisis will develop, but helping people retain perspective and their humanity is the most important thing we can do in any such situation. For now, though, I'm happy to say, this live fire venue is no longer in crisis. This is WRAT sports reporter John Horton at the Underworld Heap.
We hope that at all locations across Suriston where survivors have been fighting for their lives through Zoo 11's assault, the immediate danger is beginning to fade, and that tomorrow, when we look back on this day, we can reflect on the heroic struggles so many have gone through, both publicly and in total anonymity, to stay alive. For WRAT Sports, this is Oliver Zhang. Helen, back to you.
Thanks to Oliver and his team for truly setting examples for all of us through a very long afternoon.
Helen, we have Daniella Gresham on the line again from the Suriston South Supermall, and that in itself is good news. Daniella, what can you tell us?
That the mall is still here, Adam, and I'll let Emily tell you the rest.
This is Emily McAllister. I'm pleased to report that I've been able to completely disable this device, and to the best of our knowledge, the mall is no longer under threat. How these apostles managed to install this thing is a mystery, but it's large enough that it could have destroyed not only the entire mall, but most of Sewston for a kilometre in all directions. It's possible they simply did not know what they were dealing with, but equally likely that they meant to not only eliminate the mall and the mayor, but send one last brutal message either in defiance of or in deference to God, so as the apocalypse came down. I'd like to thank Daniella for her quick, insightful decision-making. She's saved a lot of lives today.
And without Emily, this place would be nothing but a crater. As it is, I think I'll go and sit on the beach for a while and contemplate life.
You do that, Daniella. You've earned more than a little rest today. Our thanks to both of you.
Perhaps in some strangely twisted way, the apostles of the apocalypse were right. We, the human race, had to demonstrate once again that we were worthy to continue on this planet. For all our accomplishments, we're still more blight than boon on this earth. So God, as the story would go, provided the means for us to be tested. The apostles of the apocalypse to create the test, the rest of us to find a way through it.
And one thing at least, it seems to me, is abundantly clear. Whether it results from long-term ignorance that leads to exploitation and imbalance within the ecosystem that sustains us, or from the more immediate actions, purposeful or purely accidental, of uncontrolled fanatics, the human race has, is, and seems destined to always be upon the very brink of destruction. And it is critical that we all see, each and every one of us, the importance of the burden we share. Whether we came into being by design, or whim, or purest accident, the powers that led us to exist gave to us a desire to live, and to carry a sense of purpose into the future. Our burden, then, is to ensure that the opportunity to live, to fulfill our purpose, our true potential, be passed forward, that our great-great-grandchildren be granted that chance to live in harmony not only with each other, but with the world in which they find themselves, and one day, perhaps, to surprise even our most lofty dreamers, and give ultimate meaning to the struggles of generations. Such are my thoughts on this, very nearly the reckoning day of our species. Not for the first time, but let us hope the last.
This is WRAT AM1700, the Rat.
It's 6 o'clock in the Sewston megalopolis. We are still here. And here's what's making news this hour.